After an overnight cruise, our next port of call was still in Nova Scotia, Halifax to be exact. Now obviously we didn't travel far, but Halifax is a much different place than the other cities we've been visiting. It's a beautiful place where about 350,000 people call home, and its rich history revolves in large part around its massive harbor.
And Halifax was established 1749 because of the beautiful deep water that we have here. Very large harbor, second largest in the world, and remains ice-free. You could anchor the entire British fleet here at its greatest extent. So Halifax is the closest port to Europe, and because of that reason and the wonderful harbor, we were used as the convoy base for both World War I and World War II.
Great history and a great location. Halifax offers city amenities with easy access to the kind of beauty that draws people to this part of the world. In many ways, we took the perfect drive to the perfect place to enjoy this part of Nova Scotia, the small fishing village of Peggy's Cove. What a wonderful and mystical place this was, a world away from where most of us come from. Lobsters are king here in Peggy's Cove. Everyone wants a close-up view of something that we know is delicious, and that, well, that's really about it for most of us.
Well, the lobster industry in Nova Scotia is very, very healthy today. So the lobster I'm holding now is probably about a pound and a quarter. I would say the best value for your dollar, I like to buy the lobster that would be a pound and a half to a pound and 3/4. And we have no idea of exactly how old a lobster is, so we guess and we estimate their age by their weight. So this lobster here is about a pound and a quarter, so I would say maybe 5-6 years of age. And the largest lobster ever taken from the waters here in Nova Scotia was 44 pounds, so it'd be like a huge whale. And that lobster, the biologists tell us, would be the other side of 75 years.
The other most visited places, and maybe the most fascinating, are the 3 Halifax cemeteries where 150 victims of the Titanic tragedy are buried. There is a heavy presence of an event most of us only know from history and the movies.
Heavy presence because we were the closest city that had ocean-going ships able to go out and recover victims. But another significant factor was the fact that we had the railway connections here in Halifax with the United States. So it was anticipated that a lot of the families would be coming up from the United States by rail to identify or to claim their loved ones. Basically, most of those who are buried here would have been those whose families were not of a means to bring their loved ones home.
Not of the means to bring home, and for others, the simple fact is that many victims were never identified, and so many families never had a chance to say goodbye.
Still a significant number, and as time proceeds, it becomes less and less likely that they will be identified. But a number of them have been identified after burial, and if one visits the Fairview Lawn Cemetery for the Titanic site, those who were identified after burial have their names engraved on the front of the stone instead of the top.
The people of Halifax cherish their past and their history, but they love the present too. As our native-born guide Joe told us, Halifax may be the perfect place to live, the diversity of a large city, but small enough to avoid many of the problems of a bigger city.
My feet are here and they're starting to grow roots.
And I can assure you that our plans are also rooted in visiting Halifax again, as soon as we can.